Alright, so to see everything that happened to me regarding my injury, please see my YouTube channel, My Medical Nightmare. Discussion. Those that have asked for a phone number or email, please do not use the YouTube comment section. You can send me an email directly, and my contact is on screen. It's futurecloneguy@gmail.com. Alright, in August, I filed this complaint with the Florida Department of Health against Dr. Wayne Broth. And this was in reference to a free MRI review that he gave me over the telephone. This is an example of telemedicine. I sent him many of my medical records, the MRI images themselves. And you hear when I got on the phone with this doctor, he did not acknowledge my injuries that are very obvious in these scans. The injuries are there nonetheless. I had broken the underside of my skull, and broken bone is clearly visible. After about a year, this wound had gone untreated, unacknowledged, and a massive infection began to set in, and I almost died from whatever was going on with me. This was a very awkward experience because it took Dr. Broth and Dr. Scott Katzman's office, Orthopedic and Laser Spine Surgery, 5 months to get back in touch with me after I made my inquiry via email. When I simply asked his first name, because they only gave me the name Dr. Broth, I asked his first name, and then he abruptly ended our telephone conversation. So that's very shady. This sparked my complaint to the Florida Department of Health. Alright, so after I sent in my complaint, I received this confirmation letter from the Florida Department of Health dated August 11th, 2022. And they tell me here that they did not receive enough information. I sent them a lot of information, raw copies of my medical records, the images, copies of email correspondence with Dr. Scott Katzman's office, also the office of Wayne J. Broth. As you can see in my original complaint, I even gave them the cell phone number of Dr. Wayne J. Broth because I was given this. He called me, and yeah, later on I sent in a screenshot of my cell phone showing the caller ID information, the time and date when he called me. If you call this number, presumably Dr. Broth will answer. So, I mean, you know, they ask here for records that document his interpretation of my MRI images. My case was an example of telemedicine. I'm in Alabama. I believe that they were located in Florida or New Jersey. I sent an email via the internet to the website. I sent my images attached to the email. I received a telephone call, and you can hear in that call, which you can see in my videos, that is the analysis that Dr. Wayne Broth gave of my images. So it's as simple as that. I never went to Florida physically interact with these people or go into their office. No money changed hands, anything like that. So I don't have paper records. And I did a reply on August 18th to the government analyst who wrote this letter, Adam Blahut. I was given no paper records from the consultation. And yeah, I sent another email after that phone call with Wayne Broth, and I didn't get a reply. So at this point, Dr. Scott Katzman's office, Wayne Broth, they will not communicate with me. So it's kind of difficult to get records, if they exist, if this place won't communicate with me. Alright. With the complaint form, I gave the Florida Department of Health permission to get those records from that doctor, and whatever they needed. So they didn't have to come to me and ask me necessarily for anything else, okay? They should have went to the doctor. I signed this form because what they're asking me to do, this is unnecessary, and it's just it's a big waste of time and efforts, okay? They're wanting me to provide them records that I'm supposed to go to this doctor and obtain, okay? Well, this form that I signed, they can circumvent the step that involves me being the middleman or some kind of facilitator, okay? The Department of Health of Florida should have no problems going to any licensed medical practitioner or medical practice and getting whatever type of records or information that they need, provided that they have consent and permission, which I gave. Alright, so yeah, what you can see through these correspondences here is it looks like there's some excuses popping up that don't make a whole lot of sense as to why they can't simply do their job.